وزارة التربية السورية، الثاني الثانوي الأدبي، مادة اللغة الإنكليزية، كتاب الأنشطة. يغطي هذا التسجيل الوحدة الأولى بعنوان Getting Together، الدرس الثاني بعنوان Family Celebrations، من الصفحة 9 وحتى الصفحة 13. تقدمت مبادرة ضوء بصوت المتطوعة تالة خلف. سنبدأ بقراءة نص بعنوان The Family Now and in the Future، ثم سنجيب عن بعض الأسئلة التي تتعلق بالنص. يتحدث النص بشكل عام عن أهمية العائلة في سوريا والفرق بين العائلات الموسعة والعائلات الصغيرة المكونة من الأبوين والأبناء فقط. And now, let's get started. The family now and in the future. العائلة الآن وفي المستقبل. The family is an important part of culture in many areas of the world. العائلة هي جزء مهم من الحضارة في العديد من مناطق العالم. In Syria, the family is at the heart of almost every part of society. في سوريا، العائلة موجودة في قلب كل جزء من المجتمع. The extended family is the center of economic and social life, with parents, children, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and others often living together or in the same town or village. العائلات الموسعة هي المركز الاقتصادي والاجتماعي مع الآباء والأبناء والأجداد والعمات والأعمام، وآخرون يعيشون مع بعضهم أو في نفس البلدة أو القرية. As well as living together, extended families sometimes work together and often spend much of their leisure time with each other. فضلاً عن العيش معاً، العائلات الموسعة أحياناً يعملون معاً وغالباً يقضون الكثير من أوقات الفراغ معاً. This is especially true in rural areas, although some extended families break up when some of the younger members move to the cities to find work. Although they keep in touch with their families in the countryside, these people have very different lives in the city. هذا صحيح بشكل خاص في المناطق الريفية، على الرغم من تفكك العائلات الموسعة عندما ينتقل أحد الأعضاء الشباب إلى المدن للعثور على عمل. على الرغم من أنهم يبقون على تواصل مع عائلاتهم في الريف، هؤلاء العالم لديهم حياة مختلفة في المدينة. They generally live in nuclear families, consisting of only parents and their children. هم بشكل عام يعيشون في عائلات صغيرة تتألف فقط من الأبوين والأبناء. In some countries, the differences between life in the village and life in the city are very great, although rural areas themselves are changing as more and more people get satellite, television, computers and mobile phones. في بعض البلدان تكون الاختلافات بين الحياة في القرية والحياة في المدينة كبيرة جداً. على الرغم من أن المناطق الريفية نفسها تتغير مع تزايد عدد الأشخاص الذين يحصلون على الأقمار الصناعية والتلفزيون وأجهزة الكمبيوتر والهواتف المحمولة. Although things are gradually changing in Syria, extended families still give support to all their members, especially the very young, the very old, and others who cannot look after themselves. في حين أن الأشياء تتغير تدريجياً في سوريا، لا زالت العائلات الموسعة تقدم الدعم إلى كل الأفراد، وخاصة الشباب والكبار بالسن وآخرون لا يستطيعون الاعتناء بأنفسهم. Even though the role of the family may be changing in Syria, most Syrians do not want Syria to become like some other countries where the family is losing its importance. على الرغم من أن دور الأسرة قد يتغير في سوريا، ولكن معظم السوريين لا يريدون سوريا أن تصبح مثل بعض البلدان التي تفقد فيها العائلة أهميتها. In these countries, many young people leave their families and start to lead independent lives when they are in their late teens or early 20s. في هذه البلدان يترك العديد من الشباب عائلاتهم ويبدأون في العيش بشكل مستقل عندما يكونون في أواخر سن المراهقة أو أوائل العشرينات. انتهى النص. سنجيب الآن عن الأسئلة التي تتعلق بالنص. Question number 1. Read this article about family life in different parts of the world and answer these questions. A. Why is family so important in Syria? The answer is الجواب هو because it is the center of economic and social life. السؤال الآخر B. Do extended families generally live in the city or in the country? الجواب the country. Question number 2. Now answer these questions about the article. A. Which kind of families are larger? Extended families or nuclear families? الجواب هو extended families. B. Are nuclear families more common in the country or the city? الجواب the city. C. Why do some young people move from country areas to cities? الجواب to find work. D. In what ways are country areas changing? الجواب more people get satellite, TV, computers and mobile phones. E. Which groups of people are particularly well looked after in extended families? الجواب: the very young, the very old, and those who cannot look after themselves. Now, question number 3. Use the correct forms of these verbs from the article to complete sentences from A to G. لدينا بعض الأفعال التي يجب وضعها في الفراغات بالشكل المناسب لها. الأفعال هي consist of يتألف من find يجد give يعطي lead يقود lose يخسر move ينتقل spend يقضي. الجملة الأولى A. Extended families, space, people support, especially the young and the old. The answer is الجواب هو give. Extended families give people support, especially the young and the old. B. All over the world, people are space from the country to the city. The answer is moving. All over the world, people are moving from the country to the city. C. It is sometimes difficult or impossible for people to space jobs in rural areas. The answer is find. It is sometimes difficult or impossible for people to find jobs in rural areas. D. In some parts of the world, the family is space its importance. The answer is losing. In some parts of the world, the family is losing its importance. E. My brother has his own flat in the city and space an independent life there. The answer is leading. My brother has his own flat in the city and is leading an independent life there. F. When children are young, they space all their time with their family. The answer is spend. When children are young, they spend all their time with their family. G. A nuclear family, space, parents and their children. The answer is consists of. A nuclear family consists of parents and their children. Question number 4. Complete sentences from A to E with adjectives found in the article and formed from the words in capital letters. يوجد لدينا 5 جمل وبجانب كل جملة كلمة مكتوبة بأحرف كبيرة يجب علينا تحويلها إلى صفة. A. The word is الكلمة هي extend الجملة. Space families are important to Syrian society. The answer is extended. Extended families are important to Syrian society. B. The word is economy. Some people receive space support from their extended families. The answer is economic. Some people receive economic support from their extended families. C. The word is importance. The family is space to Syrian society. The answer is important. The family is important to Syrian society. D. The word is difference. Nuclear families in the cities are very space from extended families in the countryside. The answer is different. Nuclear families in the cities are very different from extended families in the countryside. E. The word is independence. Younger family members decide to have more space lives in the cities. The answer is independent. Younger family members decide to have more independent lives in the cities. والآن ننتقل إلى قسم vocabulary. Question number 1. Complete sentences from A to G with one of the words from this list. لدينا الكلمات الآتية: artist فنان، composer مؤلف موسيقي، instrument آلة، novel رواية، playwright مؤلف مسرحي، poem قصيدة، singer مغني. في بعض الجمل يجب علينا اختيار a or an قبل الكلمة. A or an space writes music. The answer is a composer writes music. B. An author writes space. The answer is novels. An author writes novels. C. A or an space paints paintings. The answer is an artist paints paintings. D. A musician plays a or an space. The answer is an instrument. A musician plays an instrument. E. A space writes plays for the theatre? The answer is a playwright writes plays for the theatre. F. Who sings songs? A or an space. The answer is a singer. G. What does a poet write? Space. The answer is poems. انتهى السؤال الأول. Question number 2. Complete both sentences in each pair with one word from this list. لدينا 5 كلمات و5 أحرف، كل حرف فيه جملتان يجب أن يملأ بنفس الكلمة إذ يكون للكلمة أكثر من معنى. The words are form شكل أو هيئة، وقد يأتي بمعنى استمارة. head رأس أو رئيس. move ينتقل أو يحرك. rest راحة أو بقية. simple سهل أو بسيط. والآن سأقرأ الجملتين من كل حرف ثم سأجيب عن الكلمة المناسبة لهما. A. الجملة الأولى Horse riders wear a helmet to protect their space. My uncle is the space of a large international company. The answer is head. Horse riders wear a helmet to protect their head. هنا جاءت بمعنى رأس. My uncle is the head of a large international company. هنا جاءت بمعنى رئيس. B. الجملة الأولى Some students found the exam questions very space. الجملة الثانية The new people used to enjoy a very space way of life. The answer is simple. Some students found the exam questions very simple. هنا جاءت بمعنى سهلة. الجملة الثانية The new people used to enjoy a very simple way of life. هنا جاءت بمعنى بسيط. C. الجملة الأولى Did you space the car into the garage? الجملة الثانية My parents want to space to a larger flat in the city center. The answer is move. Did you move the car into the garage? هنا جاءت بمعنى حركت أو نقلت. My parents want to move to a larger flat in the city center. هنا جاءت بمعنى ينتقل. D. الجملة الأولى If you want to join the tennis club, you'll have to fill in an application space. الجملة الثانية Facial expressions are a space of communication. The answer is form. If you want to join the tennis club, you'll have to fill in an application form. هنا جاءت بمعنى استمارة. Facial expressions are a form of communication. هنا جاءت بمعنى شكل. E. الجملة الأولى After all that exercise, you need a space. الجملة الثانية You're tired now. Do the space of your homework at the weekend. The answer is rest. After all that exercise, you need a rest. هنا جاءت بمعنى راحة. You're tired now. Do the rest of your homework at the weekend. هنا جاءت بمعنى بقية. ننتقل الآن إلى قسم القواعد Grammar. Past Perfect Simple. Grammar File page 82. سوف نقرأ قاعدة Past Perfect Simple. A. Form شكله. Statements, questions, negative forms. We use had plus the past participle for statements, questions, and negative forms. Let's give some examples. Statements. When they had sold their products, they bought other food. Questions. Where had they lived before they moved here? Negative forms. They were hungry because they hadn't eaten for several days. ننتقل إلى B. Use or meaning. الاستخدام أو المعنى. We use the past perfect to refer to 1. The first of two actions in the past. For example, when they had sold their products, they bought other food. Note: in this sentence, they sold their products and then bought other food. 2. A situation or state or feeling or action in the past. For example, they found the house strange because they had always lived in a tent. والآن سنعود إلى الصفحة 11 لنحل تمارين القواعد. Question number 1. Complete these sentences by changing the verbs in brackets into the past simple or the past perfect. لدينا أفعال بين قوسين يجب تحويلها داخل الفراغات إما إلى past simple الماضي البسيط or the past perfect الماضي التام. سوف أقرأ النص بالكامل دون الإجابة ثم سنقرأه مرة أخرى مع الإجابة. وعندما أقول the verb is أقصد الفعل الذي يجب وضعه في الفراغ بشكل الماضي البسيط أو الماضي التام. We the verb is run all the way to the bus station. But the time we the verb is arrive, the bus the verb is already leave. Someone working at the bus station the verb is say. We the verb is miss the bus by only 3 minutes. If we the verb is get there a few minutes earlier we would have caught it. والآن سأعيد القراءة مع الحل. We الفعل run سيصبح ran all the way to the bus station. But the time we الفعل arrive سوف يصبح arrived. By the time we arrived at the bus الفعل already leave سيصبح had already left. The bus had already left. Someone working at the bus station said we الفعل miss سيصبح had missed. We had missed the bus by only 3 minutes. If we الفعل get سيصبح had got. If we had got there a few minutes earlier we would have caught it. انتهى السؤال الأول. Question number 2. Work out the order in which these pairs of actions happened. Then write sentences using the words or phrases in italics and verbs in the past simple or the past perfect. You may need to change people's names to pronouns. في كل جملة يجب علينا استخدام كلمة معينة مثل after, before, as soon as ووضعها مع تصريف الفعلين بالماضي بشكل صحيح. لدينا في كل حرف جملتين. يجب ربط هاتين الجملتين بكلمة من الكلمات التي يطلبون استخدامها داخل الجملة مثل after, before, as soon as. الجملة الأولى مثال محلول. Ali's father lent Ali his car. Ali passed his driving test. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها after. الحل After Ali has passed his driving test, his father lent him his car. B. The family finished preparing the food for the party. The guests started arriving. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها before. الحل The family had finished preparing the food for the party before the guests started arriving. C. The tourists went on a guided tour of the city. The tourists got off their coach in the city center. الكلمة التي يجب استعمالها as soon as. الحل As soon as the tourists got off their coach in the city center, they went on a guided tour of the city. D. The businessman checked in at the airport. The businessman had breakfast. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها after. الحل After the businessman had had breakfast, he checked in at the airport. E. The audience asked questions. The lecturer finished speaking. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها when. الحل The audience asked questions when the lecturer finished speaking. F. The cousins arrived at the stadium. The volleyball tournament started at 12 p.m. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها هي before. الحل The cousins had arrived at the stadium before the volleyball tournament started at 12 p.m. G. The family cut the birthday cake. The candles were blown out. الكلمة التي يجب استخدامها as soon as. الحل As soon as the candles were blown out, the family cut the birthday cake. ننتقل الآن إلى قسم الكتابة writing. Notes for a talk. 1. When you prepare to give a talk or presentation, it is helpful to make a few simple notes. Read these notes that a speaker wrote when he was preparing a talk. عند تقديم خطاب أو عرض ما يرجى أخذ بعض الملاحظات. سنقرأ بعضا منها. Introduction. Irish nomads, travelers. Method of travel. Sold things they made. Differences now. Houses. Language, gammon. Cars, children, school or interests. 2. Now read the talk and underline the parts of the talk the notes refer to. Did the speaker follow the exact order of his notes? سنقرأ الآن الخطاب والمطلوب وضع خطا تحت الأجزاء التي تشير إليها الملاحظات. هل اتبع المتحدث الترتيب نفسه لملاحظاته؟ سنبدأ بقراءة الخطاب. سأقرأ الجملة أولاً ثم سأشير إلى الجملة التي يجب وضع الخط تحتها. I am going to tell you something about the nomadic people who live in Ireland. سأخبركم شيئاً عن الرحالين الذين يعيشون في إيرلندا. الكلمة التي يجب أن يشار تحتها The nomadic people who live in Ireland. They are called travelers or tinkers, and traditionally they used to travel around the country in horse-drawn caravans selling things they had made. They were particularly well known for making pans and kettles. يسمون رحالون travelers or tinkers. عادة يسافرون حول المدينة بقوافل تجرها الخيول. يبيعون أشياء صنعوها. كانوا معروفين خاصة بصنع المقال والغلايات. الجمل التي يجب وضع تحتها خط Traditionally they used to travel around the country in horse-drawn caravans selling things they had made. They were particularly well known for making pans and kettles. لنتابع قراءة النص. Now, more and more travelers are moving into modern houses and settling down. الآن المزيد والمزيد من المسافرين ينتقلون إلى منازل حديثة ويستقرون. ما يجب أن يشار تحته خط are moving into modern houses and settling down. سنكمل القراءة. They still travel, usually in modern cars and lorries now, but not as often as in the past. Their children go to school regularly and do the kinds of things children all over the world do. Watch TV, listen to music, and have their favorite football teams. لا يزالون يسافرون، عادة في سيارات أو شاحنات حديثة الآن، ولكن ليس كثيرا كما كان الحال في الماضي. يذهب أطفالهم إلى المدرسة بانتظام، ويفعلون الأشياء التي يفعلها كل الأطفال حول العالم. يشاهدون التلفاز، يستمعون إلى الموسيقى، ويكون لديهم فرق كرة القدم المفضلة. الجمل التي يجب وضع الخط تحتها They still travel, usually in modern cars and lorries now. أيضا, their children go to school regularly and do the kinds of things children all over the world do. Watch TV, listen to music, and have their favorite football teams. نكمل القراءة. Travelers have their own language, called Gammon, but this is now dying out as their traditional lifestyle is changing. المسافرون لديهم لغتهم الخاصة والتي تدعى Gammon، ولكنها تتلاشى الآن مع تغير نمط حياتهم التقليدي. يجب وضع الخط تحت الجملة بإكملها. Travelers have their own language called Gammon, but this is now dying out as their traditional lifestyle is changing. والآن لنجيب على السؤال Did the speaker follow the exact order of his notes? The answer is the speaker doesn't follow the exact order of his notes. لم يتبع المتحدث نفس ترتيب الملاحظات التي كنا قد تحدثنا عنها. ننتقل إلى السؤال الثالث. Write your own notes for a talk on a subject you know something about. Follow these steps. اكتب ملاحظاتك حول موضوع ما تعرف شيئا عنه. اتبع هذه الخطوات. A. Choose a subject you know something about. اختر موضوعا تعرف عنه. B. Plan the structure of your talk in your head. Don't write the whole talk. خطط لبنية الحديث في عقلك، لا تكتب كل الحديث. C. Write brief notes to remind yourself of the main points that you want to include. اكتب ملاحظات مختصرة لتذكر نفسك بالنقاط الأساسية التي تريد أن تحتويها. وتعود إجابة السؤال لكل طالب حسب رغبته. انتهى التسجيل.